So Austin's story starts with his birth in Virginia in 1793. Austin was born in western Virginia. His father, Moses Austin, was from a long line of New England Puritans, tracing their ancestry back in America all the way back to the initial Puritan migration to Massachusetts Bay Colony in the 1630s. Moses Austin was born in Connecticut, and he married a woman named Maria Brown, who was from a prominent Philadelphia family. Moses was a businessman, and he was a very good businessman. As a young man, he got into the mining business, lead mining to be precise, in Virginia. But Moses was never the type to accept a modest level of success. He always had his eye on the main chance. I often like to say that in a different time and place, Moses might have been a great oil wildcatter or a great entrepreneur. He was a born wheeler dealer. And he discovered that there were richer lead deposits out in far western Virginia. He moved his whole family in operation there and purchased these mines, established the town of Austinville. And there's young Stephen F. Austin, the oldest of three Austin siblings, grew up. Now, when Stephen was still very young, Moses discovered that the richest lead deposits in the whole North American continent, at least known to that time, lay 1,000 miles to the west in what was then the Spanish province of Upper Louisiana. Louisiana had been a French colony for many years, but France had turned it over to Spain in the 1760s. Spain had administered it for several decades. And Moses came up with a daring plan. He would go out to Upper Louisiana, present himself to the Spanish governor there, and ask the Spanish government to grant him the land on which these lead mines, which had been worked sporadically over the years without much success, grant those to him. He would then develop them, and it would be a win-win situation for everyone. Moses, being a great salesman, followed through on the plan, sold his idea to the Spanish governor, and moved in 1797 all the way out to what was then a very wild frontier, still lots of Indians and even Indian attacks from time to time, with his family and employees and a large group of friends and followers. There, the Austin family prospered. Moses modernized the mining operation, established stores, and did manufacturing of finished lead products, including lead shot used for guns and cannons and things. And by the early 1800s, Moses estimated his net worth at the staggering figure of $500,000, which would have made him a millionaire many, many, many times over in today's money. Young Stephen grew up in this very interesting environment. It was a polyglot population of Spaniards and Frenchmen and Indians and African slaves and Anglo-Americans like the Austins. And I think this early environment really shaped young Austin's personality. I think in many ways it made him more open-minded to other cultures and ways of living than many other Americans of his day. But young Austin didn't stay, of course, in Missouri for long, because being the son of the aristocratic Moses Austin, he was to be sent back east for his education. His family sent him at age 11 back to New England, to his father's native state of Connecticut, and enrolled him in a very proper New England academy where he received a very rigorous classical education. But Moses wanted young Stephen to become a businessman, not a lawyer or a minister or a teacher. Young Stephen, at age 6, Moses arranged for Stephen to matriculate at Transylvania University. Here we see the Austin estate at the lead mines in Missouri, including this very grand home that Moses had built. Looks like a southern plantation home out on this wild frontier. So Austin moves to Transylvania University, which was still a very small institution, but was considered the best college west of the Appalachian Mountains. Here, Austin continued his education for 2 years before being brought home. He didn't graduate, but being brought home to enter the family business back in Missouri. So in his early 20s, young Austin arrives back in Missouri, extremely well educated, very polished manners. His father sees that he is elected to the Missouri Territorial Legislature. Missouri has since become a United States territory with the Missouri Purchase of 1803. And so there's now a territorial legislature. Young Austin is elected to the legislature. And things go swimmingly for the Austin family until the War of 1812 comes along. And when the war comes along, the Austin family business suffered. Unable to get his lead products down the Mississippi River and out to world markets, the Austin family falls on hard times. When the war is over, many of the customers for lead had found other markets. And then along in 1819 comes the worst depression to that point in American history, which finally finishes off the Austin's family fortune once and for all. Moses Austin finds himself dead broke. In fact, he suffers the humiliation of even being thrown in jail for his inability to pay his debts at one point. A humiliating downfall for a once proud and aristocratic family.